I chose my variables from what they gave me in my problem. That is all of check understanding. Okay, this is on your own for Module 10, Lesson 1. You can find it starting on page 317. The total cost C in dollars to dry clean a certain number of shirts, S, is given by the equation C equals 3.25S. What is the dependent variable? If you look down here, it tells you the second one is the dependent variable, it's cost. And the cost depends on the shirts. And then the independent variable is not the cost because that's a dependent variable. It's the number of shirts. So the cost depends on how many shirts there are. Remember, this is our equation, and that's what we're going to use for down here. So a letter and a number next to each other means multiplication. So I'm going to plug this 3 in to start with. 3.25 times S is 3 in this case. And when we do that, we get an answer of $9.75. This time they gave us C, and we have 1625 equals 3.25 S. Remember, to get this to go away, we have to divide. And when I do that, I get 5. We're going to do the same thing as we did with this one for this one, but we have 26 this time. So 26 equals 3.25 S. We're going to divide 3.25 from each side. And 26 divided by 3.25 is 8. And we're going to wrap it up with the 10. 10 needs to plug into S since it's on the top row. So this one we're just multiplying 3.25 times 10. And when we do that, we get $32.50. For C, we're just going to put them on the graph here. Try the best that you can because I know there's decimals and it's harder to get decimals. Down here on the bottom, we're just counting by ones. Going up the y-axis, we're counting by fives. So if I go to 3, I'm going to go to 975. So just make that a little less than 10. And hopefully your dot's on there better than mine. When I go to 5, I'm going to 16, 25, which is right by 15. When I go to 8, I'm going all the way up to 26. So just a little over 25. And when I go to 10, I'm going to go to 3250, which is halfway between 30 and 35. D. Should you draw a straight line through the points on the graph, or should you leave them on a separate? And I'm going to get a text box for this so you can actually read what I'm writing here. In this case, you should, oops, what is going on here? You should only separate point. You should only have separate points. You can only have a whole number of shirts. So don't draw a line on this one. Even though when you see your dots, it should be going up by a consistent line because it goes up consistently each. Okay, let's look at number 4. This is on the bottom of page 317. Dennis is floating down the river. So this is just a picture of him floating down a river. I don't know why. He's on a stand-up raft. He just is. The table shows the distance he travels over time. So this time they already give you all the information in the table. And what we're going to do is we're going to write an equation. So, write an equation that represents the number of k kilometers he traveled in 8 hours. So, whatever they have for the bottom one, that's always what you're going to have it to equal to. So, k equals something h. And we have to figure out in 1 hour to put it there. So halfway to get, or you can do, to get 0.5 to 1, we'd have to add some to it. Or we can do you see how in 2 hours it's 3? We can do half of 3, which is 1.5. So our equation is k equals 1.5h. Because of the letter and the number next to each other, it means multiplication. We're going to flip to page 218, or sorry, not 218, 318 here. Okay, we're on the top of page 318 now. 5's kind of a lengthy problem, but it's all one big problem, so it needs to go together. Gary has a sister, Tina. Their ages are related by the equation. G equals T plus 4.5. Where G, I'm going to rewrite this plus sign because I had a hard time seeing that. G stands for Gary's age and T stands for Tina's age. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug these in and get the answers that go with it. I'm going to erase this real quick. Okay, so from this one, we're going to put 7 in for G. So I have 7 equal, oh, I can't draw for some reason today. So I have 7 equals something plus 4.5. Now, you could use what we learned previously and just subtract 4.5 on each side, or you can say 7 equals what plus 4.5, and that is going to be 2.5 here. Okay, instead of using 7 this time, we're using a 10, so 10 equals G plus 4.5, and on this one, I'll actually do what we have learned. I'll subtract 4.5 from each side, and when I do that, I should get 5.5. Okay, now we're going to do the opposite. We do not know G, so we have G equals T, which is 7. So 7 plus 4.5, that is 11.5. Instead of 7, we're going to use a 10 this time. So 10 plus 4.5 is 14.5. Okay, we have the hard part done. The tables are hard part, and now we're just going to be able to write the ordered pairs. So when we're writing ordered pairs like this, we have an ordered pair here, 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 and here. So the first number goes in the first one. That would be the x coordinate. So you have 2.5 and 7. We have 5.5 and 10. The second number is called the y coordinate. 7 and 11.5, and 10 and 14.5. And I am getting those just from the chart. Now we're going to graph it. Do the best that you can because I know they don't have halves on here. And I kind of struggle with this because I'm using my writing pad. So we're going up by 2's on the bottom and 2's up the side. So we have 2 about here going up to 7. So about in there. I'm a little off, but that's okay. I'm going to go to 5.5, which is close to the 6 here. We're going up to 10. Then we're going to run to 7, which is halfway between the 6 and the 8, and jump up to 11.5, which is a little bit above the 12. And then we're going to run to 10, which I can do 10. And we're going to go up to 14.5, which is a little bit above 14. Really, it should be in a straight line, but I'm having a really hard time doing that. So, should you draw a straight line through the points on the graph, or should you leave them as separate points? So, you should. A person doesn't have to be a whole number of years old, because you're only a whole number on your birthday. So, draw a straight line. Okay, and you're done with number 5. Let's look at number 6. So here's our equation, and here's our box of pasta. So that box of pasta is 119 per pound, and it's shown right here in our equation. And we're just going to have to solve it here. It was really nice because they put all of them at x's, so we just have to find the y. So we're taking 119 times x, so 119 times 2. Is 238. 119 times 3 is 357. Taking 5 this time. 119 times 5 is 595. And our last one we have 8. 119 times 8 is 952. And then down here, we're just going to write some equations. To write an equation, we have to know on the top, first, if you're going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. In this case, I think we're going to be multiplying from getting from that big number to that little number. And so we're going to have to figure out, remember the d equals something times t. So I need to do 228 divided by 4 so I can figure out what happens when it's at 1. And when I do that, I'm going to get a 57. So my equation is d equals 57t. Sorry, my 7 looks like a 2. That's a 7, I promise. On this one, though, we're going to have to figure out how we get from the top row to the bottom row. How do we get 3.8 to be 0? We either subtract it by 3.8 or multiply it by 0. And in this case, I think we're going to be subtracting by 3.8 because if I multiply by 0, all of these numbers would be 0. So the bottom number is y, so y equals, and we're going to take the top number and we're going to subtract it by 3.8. So y equals x minus 3.8. And those are your equations there.